Welcome to Soul Night Live, episode number 109. Today our guest is Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull.
Hello.
Hello, Ian.
Yes, hi. Listen, I'm really sorry that I'm late. I'm having a major problem here trying to sort out some huge issues with travel and COVID and things. And I'm sorry I'm late, but we're really going to have to do this incredibly quickly. So fire away. No preamble. First question. Let's go for it.
Not a problem. The new album, Zealot Gene. Can you tell us a little bit about the genesis of it?
Basically, the album is predicated on a bunch of songs that I decided to write back in early 2017, each one of which would be about a different strong human emotion. And I set out to write a list of words that described strong human emotions, things like jealousy, greed, rage, anger, retribution, and some nice stuff like love, compassion, companionship, loyalty. And I looked at my list of words, each one to be about a different song, subject, and thought I remember reading all these words frequently in the Bible. So on a whimsical flight of fancy, I decided to do an internet search to look for references of those words in the Bible. And I copied and pasted some biblical text to serve as a comparison point when I was writing the songs, most of which are songs really set in the present day about the real world in which we live. But it was interesting from an intellectual standpoint to be able to make comparisons with the historical biblical text, whether you believe in that stuff or not. So it just served as a little reminder and a way of perhaps extrapolating some of those emotions in the world of today with emotions as they were expressed in biblical terms. That is the genesis of the album. That's what it is about. And the title track is one song that is particularly about the extreme emotions that we manifest in social media. We no longer chat convivially in a pub and have these face-to-face conversations. We tend to do it in a one-sided way, often with a sense of vindictiveness, anger, and division. And that applies to politicians as well as regular folks. So the Zealot Gene is an example of that, talking about social media and the extremes to which people will go in making their anger and making their point to each other free of constraint in a social context where otherwise they might be a little more guarded with their words. Second question.
What took so long when it came to following up .com?
After that, we did the Jethro Tull Christmas album. I did a bunch of solo albums, and that continued on through into the new millennium. And it seemed time to recognize the long service of the members of the bands. Most of them had been playing with me for an average of 15 years, the longest lineup of a Jethro Tull band since we began. I thought I should recognize their loyalty and their presence by releasing this as a Jethro Tull album, since it was written as a band album for that bunch of guys to play on. So that was a decision taken back in 2017.
Yeah, am I right that you started the album in 2017 and recorded a big portion of it and then finished it in the last
correct.
year
And we did 7 songs back then, which were recorded and were in the case of 4 of them I completed them later that year, and the others I kept putting off because we were on tour so much in 2018 and 19, and then COVID came along, which put paid to being able to work with the other guys in the band for what turned out to be another 18 months of time. So it was an unfortunate interruption.
Well, it's been a very enjoyable record to listen to. It was sort of like hearing from an old friend that you hadn't heard from in almost 20 years. So,
well, that's a good way of putting it. But sometimes old friends are not that welcome when they do decide to turn up again. So I have no expectations of everybody thinking it's a great album or enjoying it, but it's nice if they do, and makes it seem all the more worthwhile to put in the time and effort to get it completed during I suppose April, May of last year when I set to finish it off.
Well, it's very enjoyable, and I appreciate you taking the time to make it happen. What
Good.
makes it different from an Ian Anderson album? You're kind of the common denominator. Um,
Well, I think the thing that makes it different is that if I was doing it as an Ian Anderson album at this point, I think that would probably be more of an acoustic album or something that didn't relate to being band rock music. And by that argument, I guess I should have made Homo Eroticus back in 2012. That should have been 2014. That should have been released as a Jethro Tull album, looking back on it, but for whatever reason, I didn't do that. But generally speaking, I think an Ian Anderson album you would suppose more likely to be singer-songwriter, acoustic oriented, and a Jethro Tull album is a band album performed by a rock band. So the next album that I'm working on right now is also a Jethro Tull album scheduled for 2023 around the end of March.
okay, well, excellent. We'll keep an eye out for that. I was
Good.
curious, you are the one constant in Jethro Tull over the years, not unlike Robert Fripp and King Crimson. And I was wondering, do you ever feel like there's a parallel between the two of you?
I have no idea. I don't know Robert Fripp. I've never met him. So we have a mutual friend in Jacko Jaksic, the guitarist and singer in King Crimson these days, because Jacko's worked extensively with me in recent years on remixes and doing mixing some live material. In fact, he did the surround mixes on the Zealot Gene. So I don't know Robert Fripp or the King Crimson, but I do know Jacko, and he seems very happy in his work. I can't comment on any similarities between Robert Fripp's way of working and mine, but
I think the only
you would know that better than I,
yeah, the
probably.
only parallel I see is that you both seem to be the men that say this is time for this band to exist again or go away. You know, Tall and Crimson both. It seems as it's kind of a depending on when it feels right, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quick question about your flutes. How many have you owned over the years? And
Probably about 20, I should think, over the time. And it is actually time to sell some of them because I have too many flutes, and I usually only play on stage. I tend to take, I usually work with two or three flutes, depending on what I feel like playing on any tour. And in the studio, I maybe have one or two more that I might well use, but I have a bunch of flutes, which are very good flutes, but I don't play them. I mean, I play them regularly, but for rehearsals or just practice. And so I think it's time to let those go to new owners who would appreciate them more than I do. So I'm in the process of making those available for sale at no premium. Just
okay.
because I happen to have owned them, they would be sold at their market value, regardless of who's had their grubby mouth around them. I'm afraid I'm going to have to cut you off because I'm now beyond my next interview time. And so nice talking to you. Sorry we had to make this short, but it's the reality of my day to day, which is proving to be a very difficult one. Anyway,
Okay.
good to talk to you and take care.
Bless you, Ian. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye
Bye.
now.